I saw a little bit of a tactical blunder by the other two. When you have a rider as good as Tadej Pogacar, you know, all these superlatives that you've said that we've been throwing at him, you cannot touch the wind with this guy. If you touch the wind, that's a free meter for Tadej and more of a chance that he's going to lose.
Van der Poel does not like being beaten. For me, if Tadej hasn't been around, he would have been the best bike rider of his period.
I would have said that Paris Roubaix was the one race he can't win because it's too flat. People can stick in his slipstream. It's too hard for him to get away. There's not enough altitude meters to really make that separation. But if he can, after seeing what he did in San Remo, he'll figure it out. He'll figure out a way to win Roubaix.
Hi everybody and welcome back. Another edition of Beyond the Podium. The season is with us and boy, what an opening we have had with the one-day classic races, mostly based in Belgium. It's become a battle between the greatest riders and quite honestly, I don't think I've known a season like it in all the years I've worked in cycling. Of course, I'm joined by Tejay van Garderen, who's going to tell me everything I need to know. But you know, the big question is, we'll talk about first of all the Ronde van Vlaanderen, which is just finished, and then we move on to the one classic that Tadej Pogacar has not won, and that is Paris Roubaix. Of course, full coverage as well on Peacock for you. Tadej, welcome. It's lovely to see you, mate. First time this year, I think. You're looking quite fit, actually. You're in Mallorca.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been trying to get out on the bike a little bit. I mean, you just called me Tadej, so I'm feeling pretty special right now. That
I'll tell you.
Don't worry about it. I'm actually surprised more people don't make that mistake. I mean, every time I go out on the bike, people are always yelling Tadej at me.
I don't believe it. You do look as thin.
No, it's not true. I wish they did.
No, I'll tell you.
But you know, Tadej did put on a masterclass, like he is, like he has been all season, from Strade Bianche to Milan-San Remo, and now just recently at the Tour of Flanders. So I wish I could call myself Tadej right now.
Well, I think everybody does right now because the superlatives, we have totally run out of them now. I listen to the commentators around the world and they've nothing left to say about this man. He has been so brilliant this year. First of all, he went to Milan-San Remo at the start of the season, one ambition, to win it. He's won it. The only monument now he hasn't won is almost upon us, Paris Roubaix. He tried it last year, first attempt, second to his arch rival, Mathieu van der Poel. Now, I'll tell you what, they've gone head-to-head all year, and in the Ronde van Vlaanderen, what a great race. Did you see much of it? Because I was riveted to my seat. The 5 best bike riders in the world, they're calling them the famous 5, were in the move towards the end. It was a superb day out for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, it used to be like a sort of a heavy, burly, you know, classics, typical quintessential classics rider, but now you're seeing all the GC guys come out. We were only missing Jonas Vingegaard and Primoz Roglic, but you had Evenepoel there, you had Tadej there, mixing it up with the bigger sort of Mathieu van der Poels, the Mads Pedersens, and of course Wout van Aert always in the mix there. And all of those guys were just giving it everything. And honestly, when Tadej made his move, and he had, it was just incredible. You had the three guys that we were talking about before this race. You had Evenepoel, Van der Poel, and Tadej Pogacar, all 3 of them going. But I saw a little bit of a tactical blunder by the other two. When you have a rider as good as Tadej Pogacar, you know, all these superlatives that you've said that we've been throwing at him, you cannot touch the wind with this guy. If you touch the wind, that's a free meter for Tadej and more of a chance that he's going to lose. And when I saw Evenepoel getting dropped, it was after he did a 5-kilometer pull in the wind with Tadej in the wheel. I'm thinking, what are you doing, man? But the problem is like these guys, Mathieu van der Poel, Remco Evenepoel, they've been junior world champions, they've been elite world champions, and with that comes a bit of ego, and they say, you know what? This might be the day that I can beat Tadej head-to-head, toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano, but the thing is, when you're up against arguably the greatest of all time, it's not going to work. You're going to have to kind of get a little dirty with him if you're going to want to cross the line first.
He's got 12 monuments. The monuments of cycling, the big races, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Milan-San Remo, Ronde van Vlaanderen, Paris-Roubaix, and the Tour of Lombardy. He slaughtered those events except Paris Roubaix. Debuted last year, finished second to guess who? Van der Poel, who's now won it 3 times straight, joined a very elite couple of riders have done that in a row. At the start of the Tour of Flanders, Van der Poel said, I don't think I can beat Tadej. That wasn't his attitude all week. He wanted to beat him, but all of a sudden he said, I don't think I can beat him. At the end of it, he said he was pumping nearly 700 watts and he couldn't make any impression on Tadej Pogacar. And the look of the day reminded me of Lance Armstrong with Jan Ullrich in the Tour de France many years ago. The look of the day was the long chase by Remco Evenepoel. He got to as close as 5 seconds to rejoining those two at the front. And Tadej looked round and saw him. He immediately out of the saddle, literally sprinted, lifted the ante, and finally it went out to more than a minute by the finish. He just said, Remco, learn from this. You ain't coming back, mate. And he couldn't get back. It was such a brilliant race. All the nations represented. I take a hat off to Mats Pedersen because he's been injured, has breakages in the early part of the season. He says he doesn't feel good on the bike. But boy, mentally he's so strong. He gives it his best shot. I thought it was one of the best classics I've seen in years.
Yeah, hands down. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up Mads Pedersen because we definitely need to give him the respect. He has been injured. He hasn't had a lot of racing or even a lot of miles under his belt. And he came out with a top 5 in the Tour of Flanders, one of the hardest days of cycling on the calendar. And, he rode brilliantly, and I think it's going to set him up. He'll be fresh coming into the rest of the classics. He'll definitely be one to reckon with next week at Paris Roubaix, and I think that we're going to see a lot of Mads Pedersen throughout the season. And yeah, going back to what you were saying about Remco, just barely dangling on there, almost able to get back into contact with Mathieu van der Poel and Tadej Pogacar. I almost think that Tadej was teasing him a little bit. He's like, I'll let him come back, and then I'll let him stretch out. I'll let him come back. Let him think that he has a shot, but, it looked like Tadej was in complete control that entire time. And he really wasn't getting a lot of help from Van der Poel. He was just kind of gauging his effort, almost didn't really care if Remco came back because he knew, I'm not going to get a lot of help. I got to stay in the wind, but when it comes time and when the terrain gets hard enough, I'm going to make my move, and I'm still going to have whatever's left in the tank to drop all of the best riders in the world.
I'm just wondering what we can expect in Paris Roubaix. We'll talk about that in a moment. I think I said 3 in a row there. I was talking about Van der Poel. He's won the last 3 years on Paris Roubaix, and there are very few riders done it in a row. And he's only ridden the race. This will be his 6th Paris Roubaix. And in those 5 Paris Roubaix, he's won 3. He's had a 3rd in 21, and his worst position was 9th in 1922. But it's the way he rides these races. He makes no secret of his ambitions, just like Tadej, and they get together on the front and cross swords. And the rest of the race, I think, are mentally beaten on a lot of the occasions. Once they're rid of them, they're up the road, they settle down for who races for 3rd place. And I think that's been the attitude of the peloton this year. And remember, Tadej's ridden 3 races this season, and he's won 3 races. Now, Tejay, is that his secret? He doesn't over-race. He never has. He rides about 45 to 60 races a year, and he picks them, and he rides only to win.
Yeah, that could be a secret of his, just less race days. However, the races that he chooses, man, they take years off your life. These monuments are so hard. If you finish a monument, and I didn't ride a lot in my career. I rode a few times Giro de Lombardy, a few times Liège-Bastogne-Liège, never rode Tour of Flanders, never rode Paris Roubaix. But I can tell you that from the few monuments I've ridden, it takes you weeks to recover from them. And if I were to say what's harder to do, Liège-Bastogne-Liège or the Vuelta Catalunya, I would say Liège-Bastogne-Liège is like you just finished that completely dead. But yeah, he definitely picks and chooses his calendar very carefully, and I think he's very careful not to overexert himself, which sounds crazy if he's doing these 80-kilometer solo feats and he's not overexerting himself. But I think he is very wise with how he's picked the calendar. And yeah, to like what you said about, are they just lining up for 3rd place? You got to get out of the bus believing that you got a shot. And I almost thought that it was this perfect opportunity for other riders, because I was in the in the convoy, in the race car for Milan-San Remo. And I watched every single favorite crash 5 kilometers before the Cipressa. Now, I've never raced Milan-San Remo, but I've been around cycling long enough and I've seen enough additions to that I know that if you start the Cipressa in 50th place, your race is over. Well, all the favorites started at last wheel coming back from a crash, and they rode through the whole peloton, got to the front, attacked, and still won. So if you're that good, I've never seen anything like that. That was a Tadej Pogacar moment that will go down in the history books for the ages, that I was like, you know what, if he can do a ride like that against all odds, against like a crash and starting last wheel on the Cipressa, there's nothing that he can't do. I mean, I would have said that Paris Roubaix was the one race he can't win because it's too flat. People can stick in his slipstream. It's too hard for him to get away. There's not enough altitude meters to really make that separation. But if he can, after seeing what he did in San Remo, he'll figure it out. He'll figure out a way to win Roubaix.
Now that swings us to Roubaix, TJ, great cue there. Last year we talked about Tadej coming for the first time. We were getting pretty excited. He put in a great show, of course, and he finished second. But the man, his arch rival on the one-day classics, Van der Poel, beat him and beat him well on that occasion. But I'm not sure whether Tadej is destroying the brains of all of the professionals now, because it's like the grand old days of Eddie Merckx. If Eddie goes to the race, they used to say, if Eddie wants to win, we all ride for second. And I feel that happening all over again now. If Tadej wants to win, they all ride for second. And it's getting to the psyche of those riders. There's almost a sigh of relief in the peloton when he's gone. Now they can settle down for who gets second. Do you think that's the way they're thinking?
Honestly, for a lot of riders, yes, I do think that's what they're thinking. Now, I did allude a couple of minutes ago about Remco Evenepoel, who is, as far as I know, he's not racing Paris-Roubaix. But when you saw the way he was riding in Flanders, when it was him, Tadej, and Van der Poel up the road, he was taking these long pulls. He was trying to go toe-to-toe with him. A little bit of that ego comes into play, and that's a mistake. Now, if you do just let Tadej do his thing and you say, okay, I'm not as good as him. I'm going to let him go. I'm not going to risk blowing up by going with him, because we've seen a lot of riders. They try to go with him and they're there for a few minutes and then they blow up and they end up, finishing in the top 50. So it is probably a better tactic to even just go in and say, you know what, I'm not that good. I can't do this. He's better. Let him go. And I'm going to race this race, because a podium at Paris-Roubaix is still a lifetime achievement that, many people would like to do. If you're asking me one guy who's maybe coming up that I'm like, I got my eye on to see if he can maybe rival Tadej Pogacar in the future, it's going to be this new French rider, Paul Seixas. Now, I don't think he's going to be doing Roubaix, but when I saw him in Strade Bianche really sticking to Tadej's wheel, I'm like, this kid's only 19 years old. Tadej better keep his game sharp. Hopefully he doesn't lose motivation, and hopefully some of these riders are able to come up underneath him and keep him on his toes and keep him honest, because it might be easy for Tadej to get a little complacent and, winning might become a little too easy for him. But you know what? There's some young riders hungry to challenge him.
Yeah, you're right. Seixas is a very exciting rider, and he is from France. And of course, the French haven't won the Tour since Bernard Hinault back in '85. Is this the man they're going to put the pressure on? The pressure will destroy him if they do. He's a good one-day rider as well. He's had a fine place already in the classics this year. And I don't think he is riding Paris-Roubaix, and I think he's wise not to be honest. Remco, don't forget, you've got until 5 o'clock the night before the race to say I'm riding. You know what he did with Ronde van Vlaanderen? Week to go, he's in. And look how he rode his first debut in Ronde van Vlaanderen, Tour of Flanders. And he chased all the way to that podium position. I actually love Remco. I love the way he rides. I don't think he thinks too much about tactics. I think sometimes he makes huge mistakes, but the guy's a racer and a really nice person too. So if he does turn up, don't be surprised. Now, looking at the race, it's about a kilometre shorter than last year, so I don't reckon that will make much difference. The 30 sectors of cobbles are back. In the early sectors, slightly different cobbles are used, but it's making a difference overall of just half a kilometre less of the cobblestones on the course. All the famous ones are there. All the 5-star Blackies are there, and they all come midway to the end. And of course, the Forest of Arenberg, Tranche of Arenberg. It's a bitter race. The weather. It's been pretty cold here throughout our winter, but we haven't had much bad weather at all. It's pretty dry, beautiful day today here in the UK. Over in France, they usually get the same weather as the UK. Only Belgium has its own weather, and even Belgium was sunny for Flanders. I'll tell you one thing, when I lived in Belgium in 1966 to try and be a pro, TJ, in the first 6 weeks it rained every day. And because of the roads, the grit gets into your beautiful new white socks. And by the end of the race, you throw them in the bin. They're impossible to ever get clean. I was a young amateur trying to be a pro. I couldn't afford to throw a pair of socks in the bin every time I rode at Kermesse. But it's a fact, they never came white again. But if you want to be a superstar, I think you've got to sample those races. And I love Paris Roubaix. Now, the thing is, this will be only Tadej's 4th ride of the year, and he's won his first 3. And what victories they are with Strade Bianchi and Milan-San Remo and, of course, Ronde van Vlaanderen. It's incredible what he's created so far.
It truly is. I mean, yeah, I was actually really hoping to have a Paris Roubaix where they could throw all their white socks in the bin, and Tadej Pogacar would probably have to, he would probably be able to sell that world champion white jersey with all the mud caked on it. They probably wouldn't even wash it. That thing would go on like for $1 million on auction, I'm sure. But I was hoping for like a super muddy Roubaix. It's been a while since we've seen like a really nasty one, but you know what? It's going to be exciting racing anyways. And, my money's on Tadej. He's won the first 2 monuments of the year. And obviously he said at the beginning of the year that Paris Roubaix is one of the big ones. I mean, has there been another rider to have won all 5 monuments in a single season? I don't think so. In a career, no. For sure. But I don't even think Eddie Merckx has won all 5 of them in 1 year.
I don't think so. We didn't even call them monuments in Eddie Merckx's time. But I think you're absolutely right. And and he's won 12 monuments in his career now to Eddie Merckx's 19 monuments, by the way. So, when we always talk about he's the greatest of all time, you've got to look at Eddie's record occasionally and realise I still don't call him greatest of all time. There's no question he's the greatest of his era. And I'm staying safe with that just now. But there's no doubt if he continues, he will be the greatest of all time. I think he wants to strike again in Paris-Roubaix.
Absolutely. You know what? I was actually just messing around on pro cycling stats, and I if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it has all-time ranking. Just for fun, where do you think Tadej Pogacar is ranked today? All time.
I've never been to that part of pro cycling stats, and I love it.
Don't worry. Don't look. Don't look.
Now you told me all the secrets.
Don't look. I want you to guess.
I guess you're talking about where the Pog is in relationship to Eddie. Well, it would come naturally, wouldn't it? Eddie's got to still be number 1.
Eddie's number 1. Yeah, I think that's an obvious one. Who do you? But where do you think Tadej is on the all-time list according to pro cycling stats?
And they're never wrong. I'm going to go 4.
He is actually number 7. I'm going to give you.
I thought I was taking a chance there.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the top 10. So Eddie Merckx is number 1. That's undisputed. Sean Kelly is number 2. Who do you think's number 3, Phil?
Who did you say was second?
Sean Kelly, the Irishman.
Oh, absolutely right too. Sean Kelly was 3 times second in the Tour of Flanders, but he never won it, and he always regretted it because one day he allowed the other guy to win. And he's always regretted that decision.
Yeah. Now you gotta realize that this whole pro cycling stats system, it takes all the races into account. Bernardino is number 5. Bernardino's number 5. That's a good one.
So we've got 7 is Tadej, 5 is Eno. I'm beginning to dislike you, TJ, I must say. Let me just think for a minute. Gosh, Gimondi. What about Gimondi? Felice Gimondi.
Ooh. Where? He is he's number 15. So that's a good guess. That's a good guess. Think of another top winner of 5 Tour de France's.
Oh, that's a clever one. Yeah. I don't suppose we can include Lance, can we, under the rules?
Think of the first one to do it.
My
first one to get 5.
Always row with pointed toes downwards. Great time trialist. Has to be Gentleman Jacques Anquetil.
Gentleman Jacques Anquetil. He's number 8. Actually, Tadej just passed him with this Tour of Flanders victory.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm gonna. Think of. He's
not
won.
Francesco Moser, Charlie Motte, no.
It's Francesco Moser. Francesco Moser's number 3.
Because he was the first guy to win it 3 times straight, Paris Roubaix.
Another big Belgian rider, yeah.
Roger de Vlaming.
Roger de Vlaming, number 4. Nice one,
What
Phil.
is he?
Roger de Vlaming is number 4. Man, it's almost like you know a thing or two about cycling, Phil.
No, I don't. But Roger, they used to call him the gypsy, le giton, because he had his earring in and he always acted like he was hanging out. Now you want number 6. Oh, no. What about...
Spanish guy. Indurain surprisingly is not in the top 10. I see this is a problem.
What?
Like sometimes I disagree a bit with this with pro cycling stats ranking, but think of another Spaniard who could win just about anything, won about 30 races a year, retired only a couple of years ago. Ex-world champion, won the Vuelta.
Alejandro Valverde.
Valverde is number 6, so that's already ranked ahead of Tadej. It's an interesting ranking. Now
so you see, Tadej's no good. There you go. I told you, you wouldn't listen.
No, but Phil, like it goes to what you were saying before. Tadej, he only races select few races.
Correct.
And he wins them, but he's only raced in 4 races so far this year, or maybe 3 or 4. Yeah. So
yet in those 3 races, Tejay, he's raced over 700 kilometers in those 3 days alone. But now he goes back to do his training. Works it all out,
so if you think about it, somebody who maybe would have won 7 times the Vuelta al Algarve might end up with the same number of points as somebody who won the Giro d'Italia. But you and I both know if you win the Giro d'Italia, it doesn't matter how many Vuelta al Algarves you've won, you're a Giro winner. So I don't know. This ranking is a little bit faulty, but as of now, he's ranked number 7. So if he wants to catch Eddie, he's got some ground to make up.
He's got time. He's
got plenty of time.
Of course, he's been up there when he was 21, and he's staying up there. He's got 2 world championships under his belt. He's got his tours. The guy is exceptional. Of course he is. But at the same time, what we're seeing now are these one-day races coming through who are really, really good. Merckx retired 33, but don't forget, he had a bad back after his motor pacer got involved in that terrible fatal accident, and he was riding behind him. And Eddie crashed badly, and that back to this day hurts him, believe me. Whenever I see him, I say, how are you, Eddie? Oh, he says, it's the back. You remember the shoot? Yeah, I remember the crash. It was 30 years ago now, Eddie. Okay. Yeah, but there you go.
Well, let's knock on wood. Let's knock on wood for Tadej, because we don't want anything happening like that to shorten his career, because we are fortunate to be able to watch him. And I think
about the whole scene.
Yeah, wasn't there another story with Eddie that he got punched in the stomach by a fan, and then he lost the Tour? Yeah, so who knows? Yeah. He might have been the first time 6-time winner of the Tour had that not happened.
Yeah, the guy really, the spectator hit him with such a wallop right into the solar plexus. Eddie finished at the top of the Prix de Dôme. He was double with pain, and of course the Belgians made a huge story of it at the time. And we haven't really used the Prix de Dôme much more since then. In fact, we don't use it at all now, but that's another story. It's a protected monument, a bit like Paris Roubaix, really. What about a surprise? I don't think there can be a surprise. There hasn't been so far, but I think they're in there, ready. What about Jasper Stuyven? I think that guy knocks on the door every one-day classic he rides. Top 4, outside 5th to 10th, look at the results today of the ones we've had. He's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jasper Stuyven, he's definitely a rock star, but I'm going to go with his teammate Mads Pedersen as sort of a dark horse for the victory. Oh, sorry, Stuyven's on Quick Step now, so my bad. They're not teammates anymore. But I'm going to go with Mads Pedersen as the outside kind of dark horse pick for Paris Roubaix, because even though he doesn't have a lot of miles under his belt this season, he is. He was just on rock star form for Tour of Flanders with a 5th place, and I think he's only going to get stronger.
It's a good choice. He's telling us he's not going very well, yet he's finished 4th in Milan-San Remo. He finished 5th in the Tour of Flanders, and he's done it all after a broken wrist and a collarbone not very long ago. I wouldn't be going very well after all that, but he's doing all right. He could be a big challenge. Wout van Aert is another man I want to see succeed. And I think, well, I know all of Belgium do, because this is a guy, he really unloaded some effort to beat the field in the Grand Prix E3. And he never recovered for the Tour of Flanders after that. It was too soon. He was not the man. He was weak. He was suffering. But this is the first time we've visibly seen these big names suffering, and it's been all caused by Pogacar, because he's gone and they don't like being shown up. They're pretty proud pros, and they've got the reputation. World champions galore. We were dazzled by rainbow stripes in that breakaway. They all had them. Mats Pedersen won the title in Harrogate when he was very young, and I remember at the time he said, "I'm too young to have won this." But hey, he won it, and he was the world champion. He hasn't won it since either. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think what we're going to have to do is see all of these big names kind of band together and say, we got to beat Tadej. One of us has got to win. It can't be all of us, but if we've got a chance against this guy, we kind of got to just throw everything at him.
I don't think they'll do it. But, when Wout van Aert came over the line in Flanders, he went up to congratulate Tadej. And the first thing Tadej said to him was, "Man, you're coming on. Your form is coming. You're better every time I race against you." And he's such a great character in that respect. When he has his 1 and 2 with Vingegaard, he always congratulates him at the end, shakes hands. They ride to warm down on the rollers together, or the training bikes these days. I think we're in an era of fantastic bike racing. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that, but we could see it coming. The time we talked about the youngsters are coming back. Now they're back big time. And Tadej's a little bit older at 27, and the same can be said for Van der Poel. Van der Poel does not like being beaten. For me, if Tadej hasn't been around, he would have been the best bike rider of his period. His 7 World Cross Championships, that's itself a record. Then he comes out, he can ride a mountain bike when he feels like it really well. And of course, he's not afraid to race. He'll lead them at the front and ride them away, exactly like Tadej. I think Paris Roubaix this year will be very, very special. I think we say that every year, but even so, I feel it's something special this year. I really do.
Yeah, well, it's amazing to be able to watch the guy who's going to go on to probably equal the record of 5 Tour de France's go head to head with some of the hardest hitting bike racers out there in Paris Roubaix. In my area, you just didn't see that. And Tadej Pogacar is giving us a treat with that. And yet, I like what you said earlier. His competitors, they all respect him so much because he is just such a good guy. So they're not out to beat him. That's why they want to beat him the right way. But that's actually why Tadej just keeps winning, because the peloton loves him. And he'll be the first to congratulate, even if he gets beaten, like with Remco Evenepoel beating him in the time trial world championships, even catching him. You think, oof, that's going to be embarrassing for the best rider in the world. But he goes straight up to Remco, shakes his hand, and says, "Hey, good on you. You got this one today. I'll be out swinging 2 days from now." But yeah, he's just a gentleman, and we're watching greatness. And to be honest, I'm rooting for him in Paris Roubaix.
Yeah. Well, you better also be a bit of a patriot over there and think of George Hincapie, who was a great bike rider in Paris Roubaix, had a love affair and a hate affair with that event. Almost won it, didn't quite make it to the finishing line first. Great rivalry with Tom Bonan. But George has got his own pro team now, and they have been given a ride in Paris Roubaix, probably because of the great reputation that George had for the race and with the organisation. How do you think they're going to go?
Well, that's a high-level race for such a new young squad. I did see those guys.
Baptism.
Oh yeah, that's going to be trial by fire. But I wish those guys well. I did see those. I was able to catch up with Hincapie a little bit during the Vuelta Catalunya, and they've got a very, very professional outfit there. And I think they just need to focus on getting as many guys to the finish line as they can, and that would already be a success. But I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. But who better to teach them the ropes than the great George Hincapie?
Yeah, and George he's leading this team into the business very gently, I think. He couldn't resist a crack at Paris Roubaix. The organisation offered him a spot. You've got to give it a go. There may be non-reach Roubaix, or they may all be proud riders to get across the final bend in the velodrome itself. No, I'm looking forward to it. Right,
even just sticking a rider in the breakaway, getting up the road, getting on TV,
exactly.
Getting in the mix in one of the biggest one-day races in the world, that's already a success. I mean, they're going to be lining up. They're going to be wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, being like, "Whoa, I'm lining up on the start line with Mathieu van der Poel, Tadej Pogacar. Are you kidding me?" Like, what a feeling it must be for some of these young professionals, and I'm happy for them. I hope they all are successful. I hope they find some success at that race, but don't think it's going to be a nice little Sunday picnic.
It never happens in Paris Roubaix. I mean, even on the training rides with those guys, they smashed the bikes to pieces. Never mind the race itself. Well, the crowds were also fantastic at the Ronde van Vlaanderen. Expect to see them repeated at Paris Roubaix because it's just built and built and built since Milan-San Remo. So, who's going to be your podium, Tejay, in Paris Roubaix?
Ooh, well, I'm going to go Tadej number 1, Mathieu number 2, and Mads Pedersen number 3.
Oh, who's number 2?
Mathieu van der Poel number 2. Tadej 1, Mathieu van der Poel 2, Mads 3.
Yeah. So you think lightning strikes twice and you get the same 3 finishes? I'll have to look at that one for a record. However, let me just think then.
So, repeat last year. Okay.
That's all right. It can happen because they're going well. I agree with you. Obviously, nobody's going to go against the winner. That's going to be Tadej. But, I didn't think he was quite as slick in Flanders. At some stage, his form will take a knock because he didn't get the gaps he wanted and they tried to nail him and he split the field. So watch out in Roubaix. But I still think he'll win. The determination of Van der Poel is very special. He's already ranked 3rd in the all-time greats of the event. He's the first one with 3 wins. The 2 ahead of him have got 4, so it goes to count back. He's got 3 wins and 1/3 in Paris-Roubaix. And even if he wins this one, he'll still be in 3rd place because the others got better runner-up spots. Very complicated. So I'll go Pogacar and I will go Van der Poel. I just love both those bike races who set me on the edge of my seat, and I'd love to see them at the Kill again together. And the man who I've got a real place in my heart for is Wout van Aert. And I think Wout, he will try and come back. He just missed the podium last year. He finished 4th. But he is a man who was very upset by his performance in the Grand Prix E3 because he felt that Filippo Ganna, who never wins a road race, and he goes and catches him just before the line and passes him and he thought he finally got to win that race. He's always been the runner-up in. He was heartbroken. I think he might make amends at Roubaix. I don't think he can beat the other 2, but I think he is getting better. And who better to know that than Tadej? He's told him already he's getting better every week. So I'll go for 3rd for Art.
I like that. Wout's always a crowd favorite. He's always an exciting bike racer to watch, and everyone loves him. And I'd love to see him get on the podium as well.
Yeah. So there we are, Tejay. Thanks for the review. And they'll all be saying when they check our calls on Sunday on Peacock, they both got it wrong. And Bob Rowe will have got it right, of course. That's the biggest worry, isn't it, really? And I'll be joining Bob Rowe on Peacock for the whole running of Paris-Roubaix, the 122nd edition, I think it is, if I remember rightly. And boy, I think this one is going to be one not to be missed. TJ, as always, great to speak to you. Give my love to Mallorca. You always get great weather there. And I'll say hello and for the moment, goodbye from London.
All right. Good to talk to you, Phil.
For all your cycling content year-round, subscribe to NBC Sports YouTube page. We got it all.